to Emotional Sport Water Bottle with Hannah and Ailish. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Ailish. We're doing another virtual. Hopefully this one turns out better than last week.
No kidding.
There were so many good things that we said in last week's episode that just are lost forever.
Literally. Like there's no getting it back.
No. We only have Hannah's audio. So if anybody wants to listen to that sometime and just imagine what I was saying.
They want to have me look like a crazy person talking to myself. Fully blown conversation.
Laughing and everything.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, I wanted to start. I know that you don't watch Southern Charm, but there was something that happened in the reunion, the first part of the reunion, that kind of was a callback to our Blame It on the Alcohol episode.
Oh.
And the premise, it's like these, we've talked about it before, like all the guys are kind of late 30s, pushing 40, and they have a bit of Peter Pan syndrome. Well, the one guy, Shep, I guess during BravoCon, he was out of control and was blackout all weekend long.
Oh.
And he this is nothing that has been brought up in this season. So it was just we're just addressing his drinking right now in this season. And he's just I don't remember anything from all weekend. I can't even tell you what I was doing or what my behavior was. And then Craig and Austin were you're Craig said, you're in a car that's heading off a cliff and I can't be in that car anymore. And they're basically saying you seriously need to get a hold on this, or else we can't, kind of play into this anymore or be part of the problem, basically. And I just thought it was, while you shouldn't be in that situation, obviously these are all people that are very privileged. These are men that have been born into basically everything that they have. But the drinking culture just kind of swallowed them up. And it's not an excuse, but it's just I can totally see how that does happen to some people. And maybe they're not actually full blown alcoholics, but they've just had an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. Well, I wouldn't even say that it was unhealthy the whole time. It was just you get to an age where the excessive partying isn't serving you anymore.
Right.
And he was just really raw and saying I need to figure out my life, and I'm at such a low point because I see my friends are actually doing things to better themselves. And Craig has his pillow business, and Craig and Austin have a podcast, and Austin has a beer that he does. And then Craig and Austin have taken a step back from drinking. It made me think about James Kennedy, who also has taken a step back from drinking. And it just made me think of our episode because I don't know, it's just the relationship that people have with alcohol, and how it's they kind of don't realize that maybe it is a bit problematic until almost it's too late. You're in your 40s and your friends are all settled down and moved on, and where does it leave you,
Right. And I think even to fame and everything, and that being your whole personality is on this show, but then you're probably always well, when's it gonna end? When's gonna be the last season, and are people gonna care anymore? And
yeah,
it does put you in an even worse mental state.
Yeah, and he even said that. He's I'm known as the fun guy, and kind of the fear of well, what if the alcohol is what made me fun? And if I don't have that, then what do I have? I mean, it was just, I thought it was really like brave of him to be that vulnerable. And again, like, yeah, it probably should have been something that he realized 10 years ago, you know, but
Mhm.
I just feel like when you're in that friend group or that culture where a lot of your social situations revolve around alcohol, it can be
Mhm.
hard to recognize that in yourself, that
Right.
maybe you do need to take a step back.
Right. I know, and I feel like I've never been like that with drinking, so it is like I feel like that would be so hard. And like I don't surround myself with people that are just constantly drinking too. So then it's
Yeah.
like that would be hard too if you're always around these people. And then you have to wonder too, like, do we even have a relationship outside of like partying together and everything?
Yeah. I know. And it was like Austin was saying, because I was listening to Pillows and Beer, Craig and Austin's podcast. I don't know why I started listening to that, but I just did. Probably because I needed a new podcast to fill the void of another one. but they went on a little tour with their podcast, and Austin was like, yeah, you know, like I've been drinking these non-alcoholic beers, and I had like, you know, before our two shows, they had two in one day, like an afternoon one and an evening. And he's like, I drank like a whole, I can't remember if it was a 6 pack or a 12 pack, but it doesn't really matter. He's like, I drank the whole thing. And I was just thinking, if I had drank, if it was actual like beer, alcohol, then I
Mhm.
would have been a waste of space for our shows. Like I
Right.
was just taking them down like water. And it is crazy, especially, I mean, I think like in our area too, like people are
Mhm.
really into those light beers. And it does. It's like you feel like you're not drinking anything
Mhm.
sometimes.
Yeah. I know too, Tana Mojo's been kind of talking about that too, like her relationship with drinking and like just kind of the culture of hanging around her friends that are drinking and like not going out as much. And then she was also like, am I even exciting when I'm not drinking? And I just feel like that
Yeah.
would be such a, and she's out, I mean, she's still younger, but still, it's
Right.
like even somebody younger is like, wait a minute, what am I doing with my life? Like the partying's kind of calmed down a bit, and like I thrive so much more when I'm not drinking and I'm more sober. But
I know, it just made me think, and like even with like Kyle on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, like
right.
it shouldn't be a big deal to say, "Hey, I'm going to stop drinking for a little while."
Right.
But it is. Like just
Especially with the people you surround yourself with too.
yeah, it's just crazy. And you know, like it shouldn't have been a scary thing for Shep to come out and say what he did. Like, "Hey, I
Right.
recognize this about myself and I need to reevaluate my life." But
Hmm.
it was a scary thing because he didn't know how the rest of his cast was going to take it. He didn't know how Andy
Right.
was going to take it. You know, like it really is. It's just weird how our society has
No.
just made that like, well, if you don't drink, you're not fun.
I know, and then it's like, are you also feel like are people even gonna, like we were saying earlier, gonna like me or anything? And then when your job almost revolves around you being like messy, and
Yeah,
like that's what people like to see on the reality shows too. It's like everybody being messy and drinking too much, and
yeah,
that would be really strange. Then
I
to stop.
know. But we've said too, like, even on, you know, it's fun when on Housewives or whatever reality show, if people have a couple drinks and they loosen up a little bit. But we've
Hmm.
said before, like, especially on this last season of Orange County, like,
Hmm.
just the drunkenness of some of the
Hmm.
cast, it was just, it wasn't even enjoyable to watch anymore.
No, it's like I don't want to see, especially like not older people, but like older people like getting like that too. You know,
Yeah.
it's just not fun to watch somebody like that.
Yeah, it especially when it's not. just like, oh, this was a big party and
Right.
you went a little overboard. It was like every episode pretty much for a
Right.
little bit there. Yeah.
Grumbling, yelling at each other.
Yeah. But it really made me think like it's just interesting when I think when anybody kind of like thinks about their relationship with alcohol and like I don't have that issue where I could have a glass of wine like after work and go to bed. Like
Right.
I don't need to finish the whole bottle. Like I don't
Right.
have that kind of like, oh, I need to keep drinking, or even if I'm in a social setting, if I
Mhm.
want to stop drinking, I just stop drinking.
Right. I know it's, like, so hard to it's like it's so easy to be like, "Just don't drink."
Yeah,
It's like it's not that easy for some people.
I know. But anyway, like Shep, he ended up going to I think Costa Rica for like this kind of wellness retreat type thing, and I follow him on our Instagram, so I've been like looking at videos that he's posted, and he seems to be in a good place, so I hope that like this is kind of an eye opener for him and he can maybe find something that's a little bit more concrete and long lasting that makes him happy
Mhm.
instead of relying on alcohol for the fun. But yeah,
Right.
it is like with reality shows, like that is their job. So you would have that fear of like, well, are they not going to want to keep me on if I don't perform well?
Mhm. I know.
Yeah. Luckily, we don't have that problem on our. Oh my god. Do you want to talk about the Oscars?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, so
Well,
I mean, there's definitely some snubs.
I
But,
know
like
I'm just really torn. I don't know if I
no,
snapped you and like talked about this. I don't know if you listened to it yet, but like with the Barbie thing,
I
I'm
know. I'm like, do like I feel like Best Picture was good, and I do feel like the director was snubbed, but I just don't know how I feel about Margot getting snubbed or Ryan Gosling getting nominated. Because I was trying to think too. I'm like, it was like, oh, Margot didn't get it, so shocking. But
mhm.
then I was like, but where the and it's not there. Like, I think the movie as a whole is better than just like taking one person's part and saying it
Yeah.
was like mind blowing as far as
Yeah. But even like for Best Picture, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm just so like I loved the movie. I
right.
thought it was beautiful and it was a great movie like that
Hmm.
represented women. I mean, we had
Right.
like a long conversation about it for the podcast
Hmm.
after we saw it. Like we were taken aback. But I guess it's just like when it comes to the Oscars,
Right.
I don't necessarily see that like in the same level as some of the other films, you
Right.
know?
Right. No, I kind of agree. Like, I
I know this is really
don't know.
controversial.
I honestly don't know. Like, I like I said, overall, the movie was cool. Like the set, the costume design, like all that stuff was awesome. But as far as like the movie was deep, but like the characters weren't overly
Right.
deep either. So it was just kind of, I don't know. Like if I guess if I'm comparing it to like Oppenheimer or something,
Right.
just I don't know.
Like can you compare it,
I
you
know,
know?
right? Right.
And I agree about like the Ryan Gosling thing. I don't did they just like throw him a bone? I mean, I
I
don't
know.
really
I
see
was.
why he would
Yeah.
be nominated.
But like even when like watching the movie, like he was like a cool standout, but
Mhm.
I don't think he had to, like, really search into his soul to, like, be a handsome man when
Yeah,
he's a handsome man. I don't
right.
know.
I mean, and was that a role that was different from what he usually does?
Right,
Yeah. But yeah, he didn't need to like do all this months long character
right,
building. Like he is Ken. Like
right.
he just was it. Like
You know, and
I
he
don't know.
was
And
funny. I don't know.
I know. And even with like America Ferrera, like
Yeah,
I I mean, again, I thought that she did well for supporting actress. Like, yeah, she had a great monologue. I think her
right.
out of all the characters, like her plot line was a little bit more emotional.
Yeah.
But I just didn't feel the same heartache with like Greta not being
Right,
nominated or Margot.
right. I know, was America, nominated for any of the other award shows so far?
Um, I don't know. Now that you
Because I
mention
feel
it,
like it, like, totally threw me off when I saw that, I was like, "What?" But I don't
yeah.
remember, like, noticing that she was up for a supporting role for, like, SAG and all that, Golden Globes.
Yeah, now that you mention that, I'm gonna look up the Golden Globe nominees.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I would've remembered it, but maybe I just
Yeah, I know.
wasn't
I
paying
did I looked up like what it is to be or what it takes to be a nominated for an Oscar because I didn't
Mhm.
know. Okay, no, she was not nominated
Okay,
for
so
a
this
Golden Globe.
kinda came, like, out of
Out
nowhere.
of nowhere, yeah. And they had all these things about like it had to be between like the calendar year and then it had to be in the box office for so many times and it had to be
Mhm.
so many showings during the week and so many showings during the weekend. Like it was kind of more in depth than I had realized, I guess.
Mhm.
But I mean, I don't know. I felt that Saltburn was really snubbed.
I know. Well, I, like, was thinking about that too, and then I'm like, I feel like it still should have been, at least Best Picture, I would have thought, or, like,
Or what
even,
about
again,
original
set design.
screenplay?
Right, right, even if you didn't give it to the actors.
Yeah,
Well,
I
it's
mean,
like,
because
was
I
it too yeah, I don't know. But I always
because
feel like the later in the year movies don't get it anyway.
well, I just since we brought up Golden Globes and I'm looking at supporting actress, like Rosamund Pike was nominated for a Golden Globe,
Mhm.
and um, I thought that wasn't Barry Keoghan nominated for Best Actor?
I thought he was. I mean, he was maybe not.
Yeah, I thought he was too. Oh wait, in a drama, I put comedy. Yeah, he was. So I guess I'm just like, and Leo wasn't
I
nominated. I mean,
know, that was
I
crazy.
was just
But
shocked. Like
what's new, though?
we gave him one. We're never giving him another one ever again. Like,
Literally.
and then also May December. Like
Yeah,
why?
that one got really snubbed.
Yeah, I think that one was nominated for original screenplay, but like none of the actors were nominated.
Mhm.
I thought that Julianne Moore and Charles Melton did
I know.
amazing.
I know. I thought that one was weird too. But then, yeah, I do wonder, like, did people not, because it was on Netflix, like, how does streaming affect that stuff then?
Yeah, maybe the streaming, that's a good point.
Or
Like
maybe, like,
maybe,
with Saltburn too, because it
but
was
they
on
were
television.
out, but it was in theaters. Saltburn
It was,
was.
but then when it came right out on streaming a couple weeks later, maybe people were like, "Oh, it's coming out on Prime." I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
That works.
I mean, and I said I looked
But
up like, the qualifications, but I didn't then go and look at like,
yeah, like streaming stuff. Well,
yeah,
wasn't like The Irishman or something last year, a couple years ago on Netflix or something, and
yeah,
it got all those nominations?
yeah.
Hmm. I don't know.
I know that, like, wasn't that movie like 3.5 hours or
Yeah,
something?
so, like, that one,
Yeah, I
they based
just
it off of that. I don't know.
yeah, wait, wasn't that a couple years ago when that
It
movie
might have
came
been.
out? I can't even remember.
Or did they change the qualifications again a little bit?
Or was that during COVID and, like, it
Oh, then
was
it was fine.
different for COVID? I don't know. Yeah, I just felt I know it's controversial with the Barbie thing, but I just didn't feel that I love the movie so much, but it just doesn't feel like an Oscar contender to
No,
me.
it felt like a feel-good summer movie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know.
right, I was not like, the Golden Globes and, like, that makes a little bit more sense, especially
Yeah.
for, like, cinematic achievement or something. But for, like, I don't know, when especially because like, the Oscars love, like, biopics,
I
and
know.
just I don't know.
Something based on a historical event.
Right. Versus well, I guess Barbie's historical. I don't know. Yeah, I don't I know, I agreed with that. I'm like, "But really?"
And
I
then did
mean,
you see that Hillary Clinton made
yeah,
an
I did see
Instagram I mean, come on.
I know, like, are people really that upset?
Like,
Well, and I
nobody
get
asked.
literally and it's like, I get the argument, like, "Oh, Ken get win" the guy gets
Yeah.
nominated for the female-based movie, like, I get that argument, but I don't know if that means the other people should've or, like, Margot should have been
Yeah, I mean, I
nominated.
I don't think that Ryan Gosling should have been
Right.
nominated. I don't think any so like
I know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But oh, and I was cuz I was looking at when the Oscars come out and I was what was I on? Oh, cuz I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet and I have Peacock and it said like coming February something. And then I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my God, when are the Oscars? And they're on March 10th. I'm like, perfect. I'll be able to watch it from the comfort of
Oh,
my own home.
yeah, and that was another one. I was surprised that Emily Blunt got
Oh,
supporting
yeah.
actress 'cause I didn't really feel like she was in it that much. But, I feel like a lot of the supporting actor and actress ones, especially the actress ones, the character or the people that get nominated are only in the movie for, like, 20 minutes, and they get, like, this nomination, and that one always confuses me, but
I know. And I wonder, like, what does it take to earn that? Like, how many
right,
minutes on screen do you have to be a
right.
supporting?
Because wasn't there one, like, from, like, a billion years ago where it was, like, she was on screen for, like, 3 or it was, like,
Yeah.
some super tiny amount?
Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's
I don't
kind of
remember what that
ridiculous.
was either.
Mhm.
It's kind of yeah, it's wild. I don't know. I don't know how you not to go back on the Leo thing, but like we've got Lily Gladstone for support
Mhm.
for best actress. We've got Robert De Niro for supporting actor. How are we not giving Leo a nom for best
I
actor?
always wonder, like, is there, like, some weird, like, blacklist that he's, like, on just within, like, the academy? Because
Did
I
he
feel like this
sleep
is
with someone's
constant.
daughter or
Right.
what? Like
Like, what
or
have they
it would
broke
be
up?
probably someone's granddaughter.
Yeah, yeah. And it ended badly, and they've never forgiven him.
Yeah.
That almost seems shouldn't how did Ryan Gosling get it over Leo? Like, shouldn't we just kinda, like, dink, 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 dink?
I know. I mean, and like Leo probably freaking took months to pull
Yes.
that into character. Like,
And it's probably
and
so embarrassing too,
I
like,
know, and
you
you know
got
he's gonna
right,
be at the show.
right.
I don't. I wonder
He
if
should
that's
boycott it.
just not
But, of
even
course, he's
come.
gonna be there supporting, everybody who
Yeah, and then even for um like original song for Oscars
Mhm.
again. I'm just Ken. Like, what are we doing?
That one's crazy. Like
Like, and I said this in the snap to you too. Like, I know that Mark Ronson like did this, and Mark
Right.
Ronson is so talented.
Right.
And is it a good catchy song? Absolutely. Do I think it should be winning awards for best original song?
Right.
No, I
Right.
don't.
It's like a comedy song. Like, I don't know. Like, I do like Billie Eilish. So is they have 2 nominations for best song, Barbie does?
Yeah. And then people were like, why wasn't Dua
And
Lipa?
I'm like, why would it's a regular pop maybe that's mean to say, but it's like it's a regular pop song. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know why would like I think Billie Eilish's probably could have been because I feel like every time she does a song for a movie they nominate her. But
Well, okay, so are we gonna have Ryan Gosling up on stage singing I'm Just Ken then?
right.
Because they always do that, where they
Right.
perform the best original
Now,
songs.
probably.
I mean, he's probably like, what in God's name is going on?
And then it's so uncomfortable too because it's like you get an Oscar nomination. Like you should be
Yeah,
thankful, but it's like people don't want you to have it and you probably don't even feel like you deserve it anyway. Like what an awkward,
I know.
so awkward.
So I want to see, I was looking at the Best Picture nominees and the ones that I haven't seen, which are pretty much all of them. I do want to see that Anatomy of a Fall.
Me too. I think that one seems really interesting.
Yeah. I think it's on, I think you have to, it's on Prime, but you have
You have
to
to buy it.
rent it. Yeah. And then The Holdovers.
I want to see that.
That one's on, I think it's on it's either Peacock or Hulu. I can't remember. I think maybe Hulu. And it's with Paul Giamatti, and I didn't watch it yet, but I was really thrown off that it's been nominated for awards. But it's basically about this like
I know it
professor,
makes
and
you want
then
to see it.
the the kids like leave for Christmas break or whatever, and there's a couple left, and this professor's mean. But I mean, it must be good.
Yeah, it sounds like when I've heard everybody really likes it that they've seen it.
What is American Fiction? I don't know that one.
That one, somebody was just talking about what that is. It's
Oh wait, yeah, I did see that where it's basically like, um, well, I guess I can just read the description because I just looked it up. Frustrated novelist fed up with the establishment that profits from black entertainment and relies on tired and offensive tropes. So then he makes like a parody basically, or it's like, oh, is this what you want? And then they're like, we love it so much, it's so woke. That seems kind of funny.
mm-hmm.
But I forget about some of these movies because I see like a preview for
I
like
know
a
like months
second.
ago and then yeah, and then you never hear about it again and then all of a sudden it's nominated for the Oscars.
I
So it's
know.
like, has that one been in theaters for a certain amount of time? You know, like
I don't even know. I literally don't even know. It says it's in theaters right now. So,
hmm.
and then I fell asleep during Maestro, so I probably should finish that. I said that at last episode, but obviously nobody heard it.
Hmm.
I have to see Oppenheimer. You already did. I do want to see Poor Things.
So do I. I either want to see that with our pass or Iron Claw with our pass.
I know we have to see much longer Iron Claw is going to be in the theaters.
It's probably gone now.
It probably is. It came
I
out
also
months ago.
heard that some people thought that one got a little snubbed too.
It did get a lot of hype, didn't it?
Hmm. And I heard it was just really, really good. And it was another like true story one. And like I said, the Oscars love that. So I'm
I
surprised.
know. I know. There was one Zone of Interest. I'd never heard of that movie. Had
I
you?
think somebody was talking about it. It must have been a podcast I was listening to. But I think it was, is it a, hold on, let me see if it was what I'm thinking of. like it was about a Nazi commandant a commandant tries to build a dream life for his family near the Auschwitz concentration camp.
Oh, I don't know if I ever saw a preview for that one.
I never did, but I heard just I must have been listening to podcasts, like I said, and they were talking about it.
Well, again, another historical film.
They love it.
Well, we'll have to see. I do get excited. I mean, the Oscars are like the biggest award show of the year. It's
And I love
always
to
so
see the
grand.
fashion. It's
I
the most,
know.
and then that, or I think when did the Grammys come? But it's like basically the end of award season after that.
Aren't the Grammys usually in February?
That's what I thought.
But did
But I
we get
haven't heard a
nominations?
thing. No, I haven't heard a thing about the Grammys.
Yeah, February 4th.
Oh.
Oh, there are nominations out, so we
Does
just
somebody care?
completely missed that.
I haven't heard anybody say anything.
I totally missed that.
Well,
I'm sure that Taylor Swift will be a big winner yet again.
I know I would think, but I'm surprised she hasn't said anything.
I think we might have just missed this happening because
Weird. Anywho.
Yeah, I feel like we missed it.
Okay.
We'll have to look that up later and talk about it once Grammys arrive. But yeah, I do get excited to watch, and since like I don't know who's hosting the Oscars. I didn't see that either. But since the speeches were a lot better, in my opinion, at the Golden Globes, it makes me like have hope for the Oscars that they won't be, too like political or self-serving, because
Right.
that just gets really annoying to watch.
Gets old real quick.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and also I don't know if you guys must have really liked our Fashion Police for the Golden Globes, because that episode got quite a few hits.
Oh.
So we thought we were boring you by just talking, but apparently not. So maybe we'll do that again for the Oscars.
Maybe we'll do it differently or something.
Yeah.
Trying to make it more time efficient.
Yeah, we can still cut down. We don't need to go through so many probably, but I'm glad you guys liked our takes. Did you see, I think like Paris Couture Fashion Week is happening right now. Did you see Kylie?
I did.
Did you see the one of her and Stormy?
Yeah.
That was so cute. They're matching little thing.
How fun.
I know. And Stormy's like so adorable with her sunglasses on.
I really like the way Kylie handles taking her daughter out to like those events.
Yeah.
Like she just has her dress very like cute and age appropriate.
And
you can tell they're just having a fun time together.
I know. And like it's a way to have her be included in doing stuff with her, but she's not like keeping her up until all hours.
Right.
And it's like still done in a good way for the child. Yeah. It's so cute. I did see though when she was wearing the like cream colored dress, and a lot of people were talking about there was a certain like candid where you could really see a lot of the filler and stuff in her face.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that too. I thought like people saying she looked like 45 and stuff was like a bit.
That's harsh.
And it was like I didn't think she looked old, but could I see the work she had done? And again, we're so used to seeing her so filtered. That seeing her just like probably out in the natural light and everything, it was a little not shocking, but it was like, oh,
different. Yeah.
What did you think?
I mean, It's not even that I think she uses a lot of filters or airbrushing, which I mean, obviously they retouch their photos, but it's just also they always have amazing lighting.
Right.
And I mean, that does a major difference
Mhm.
to someone's face. I mean, there are times where like I think I'm looking amazing and then I catch a glimpse of myself out in the wild and I'm like, "Oh my lord."
I
Like
know. It's, like, better
it's
not to think
scary.
about it.
Yeah. So
Like
I feel like she's just not the only one that
right,
is victim to that.
right. And I think,
And
like, them, because the video I saw was that slow-mo one. It's like, I don't
yeah.
think that was doing any justice either. It's
No, and I mean the lighting was horrible. She
it
had it
was.
like coming from multiple sides. It was and her head was kind of like down, so that was casting shadows too.
Mhm.
I just and I think she's in like a weird phase kind of where maybe
Right,
she is dissolving the fillers that she has in her face and those don't just go away instantly.
right. And I feel like too, like, when you have more of that, like, filler look, that it holds a lot of makeup really well, and since she's
Yeah,
going for more of, like, a subtle look, like, I still thought she looked pretty, and I like seeing her with, and I loved the hair when
me
it was, like,
too.
that big tousled, like, I loved that. But I feel like too, that was another reason where it's like we're so used to seeing her be able to carry all this heavy makeup, and then when we see it
Mhm.
with less, and then everyone's like, "She looks so bad without barely any makeup."
Yeah, you're right, because it was really noticeable that she had less on.
Mhm.
But I mean, I still thought that she looked really pretty. And
I
you can't
know.
tell me that if like you saw her walking down your sidewalk that you wouldn't be like, oh my God, like
Right.
you wouldn't shun away because she
Right.
was so horrible
Right,
looking.
she
I
was a
mean,
monster coming
I
down the
know.
stairs.
Like
No, and I
I saw
really like right. Oh, sorry. I really like how she's dressing differently too. It's like not
yeah.
the same blah. It's like
Yeah.
it's so cool, especially
I
that
like
green dress.
I know, I like when she goes to the, couture week because, like, that was last year, remember, with the Schiaparelli
Right.
show where she had the
Yes.
lion head? Like,
Mhm.
I like her pushing boundaries like that, like, she does fun things.
I know, and I like that she's, like, fully stepped it up for, like, the
Oh, yeah.
Kardashians, like, she's hanging out with the A-listers, she's just
Yes.
out here looking great,
Well, now
dating an
she's
A-list
yep,
actor. I'm kinda like, "Dang," like, I don't even know if the rest of them could get
do
to
it.
that level, like, I feel like she just had that perfect transition. She's always been kinda, like, not like, obviously, she's all over Instagram, but she's not on the show that much or, like, a ton, and so she was able to be like, "Whoop."
Yeah. I mean,
Next
I
thing you
think
know, she'll be nominated for the Oscars
she's
for
gonna
movie.
take on a movie career. I think
Mhm.
Kendall could do it because she's already like in that world, but I don't even really count her because she's like not like the other sisters. But even
Mhm.
when when Kim was going to the Met Balls and stuff with Kanye, like people were like, "Ugh, what is she doing
I
here?"
know. Yeah,
And
people
I
have such a hatred towards
yeah, but I
her being
don't
at the stuff.
think like if Kylie just went like if she goes this year with Timothy, which like praise God, I hope that she does. But like I don't think it's going to be a big deal. It's going to be like,
Right.
"Oh yeah,
Of course
there's
she's
Kylie
here.
Jenner."
She's been
Yeah.
coming here this whole time.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. It's kind of I did see on a TikTok like some people that were being mean about her face and they're like, "Oh my god, like is that what Botox and fillers does to you?" I'm like, "Well, I mean, it's what getting too much filler will do to
Exactly.
you."
And I know exactly because she had I mean, and like we said, you could see it like in that
Yeah.
photo and stuff, but I do think it is because she had gotten too much. But I don't think I know people are being very mean though. It's
I
like
know they really
I just want
were.
to hate on her.
I know they want to find something. But
Hmm.
I thought too, did you end up listening to Meredith Marks's episode of Shenanigans with
No.
Sheena? It was really good. I would even though you like, well, you're caught up with this recent season of Housewives, and you're rewatching like me too. We're both rewatching,
Yeah.
but it was really good, so you should definitely listen to that. But she was talking about like any work that she's gotten to her face,
Mhm.
and she's like, "No, I don't do fillers. Like that's just not my thing, but like I do other things to help keep like the fat and the collagen in my face
Mhm.
because that's what keeps you having that youthful look."
Right.
And I think with like the Kardashians too, like with how they've I don't want to say that their weight has fluctuated because it
Mhm.
hasn't really fluctuated, but it's just like their weight has changed with the trends, kind of.
Yes. And, like,
And
the work they've gotten done has been very trendy too.
yeah, so like since Kylie now is very skinny, whether that's from her actually working out a lot or something like Ozempic, either way, that probably is going to take some of the fullness out of
Right.
her face. And she almost just like overcompensated
Mhm.
with the filler. So, I mean, that's something that you can't easily get back.
No.
Like,
Definitely a cautionary tale learning from the
I
Kardashians,
know
but
just because you can doesn't mean you should.
right? And that, the plastic surgery trends are gonna come and go. That's why they're trends.
hmm I know there's always like things when I look at myself, I'm like, oh, I wish I could get that done. Or like, did you see Heather Gay on Watch What Happens last
Mm,
night?
no, I didn't.
Oh my
Oh, I did
gosh.
see a photo.
She got the Jennifer Lawrence treatment for sure.
Nice little tightening.
Just this little subtle things here there. She definitely got new veneers for sure,
Mhm.
and I think they did something with like her her lids, like whether they did a lift or
Mhm.
whatever. Like her eyes were much more open. Her jaw was almost like less wide, kind of.
Yeah, I did see the picture with the jaws, like, "Oh."
Yeah. So
It's
I
crazy
mean,
how they, like, go get this stuff done, and, like, you don't see them in recovery, obviously, and then you
yeah.
just see them, and they're like, "Oh."
But remember we used to see recovery pictures, like, back in the day. It would be like, "Oh, there's" I'm just gonna say Lindsay, but I don't think we ever saw her getting wheeled out, and it was, like, getting wheeled out from the hospital with
Mhm.
their, like, face wrapped.
Bandage, yep.
Yes. Like, you don't see that anymore.
No, they're like, I don't know if they do things differently now, and it's not as bad of a recovery or what.
Or are they getting it done in their house? They don't
Literally,
ever have to leave.
since COVID, the doctors just started coming in.
Yeah. But it is like with social media, with like how they
Mhm.
post, whether it be like a brand deal or something, it is so easy for them to just be like, oh, I have these pictures banked of
Right.
me. So you
You never
wouldn't
know.
know.
No.
Yeah.
And
Like,
that
was
definitely
that
feels like
from today or not?
right. That definitely feels like how the Kardashians would do it too, because you'd
Mm-hmm.
like see them in a season, and then you wouldn't really see them, and then all of a sudden they'd be,
Looking a
recovered.
little
Yeah.
different. Yeah, I mean, Heather looked great. Like, I thought she
Mhm.
looked fantastic. But, and it kind of surprised me that she hadn't gotten some work done like that before, considering that
Right.
she owns, like a
Place.
beauty
I
spot.
know.
Yeah. But maybe she got a little bit more work done that wasn't just, that couldn't just be done in her
Right.
business. I don't
Like
know.
actually under the knife stuff.
I feel like she probably won't ever say anything about that.
No.
But well, since I brought up Salt Lake twice, like inadvertently. Do you want to like? You started rewatching or watching from the beginning before I did, and then I started, and then I had a few days off work, so like I'm plowing through. Where do
Mhm.
you know where you are in the seasons?
I'm in season 2. Uh, I just watched an episode earlier where they were like tubing.
Oh,
And
the
they
snow
yeah,
tubing?
and they were like had the wigs on. The losers had to wear the wigs. So that's where I'm at. I don't know what
Okay.
episode number that is.
So I'm a little, and has the Jen Shah thing happened yet?
No.
Okay, so I'm like a little past you. I'm like the Jen Shah thing happened, and now like Jen is just magically back. It is just like baffling to me. And
Mhm.
like we kind of touched on this last week, but again, all that is into the abyss. But, and you said, like, I wonder what we would think about Jen if we
Right.
didn't already know. And I don't know. Well, like, I feel like there were parts with her where it is so clear that she is just a vile human.
Yes.
I would have, I don't think, I don't think I would have been like, oh, she's committing fraud. But
Right.
like, she's not nice at all.
No, and she like flies off the handles. But then there would also be times where she would be like, I am sorry. I'm sorry. I did that or whatever. And then you'd be like,
Yeah.
huh. Like
Okay.
it's just so hard to like really know what we would have thought of her
I
without
know.
already knowing what we know.
It
But I definitely
really, oh, go ahead.
sorry. There's like a lag. So
I know.
I don't know when you're done talking or when I should stop. But I definitely feel like she was like so far kind of quiet this season though, like
Yeah.
in this like kind of way, like all this stuff is lingering behind me, but I can't like really act like it is.
Yeah. I did think that her wealth was a little questionable.
Yeah.
Like when she threw in season 1, when she threw that birthday party for Meredith, I was like, this is
What is this?
insane.
It seems a bit excessive.
And like he's a football coach,
Right.
or he's not even a head coach, I don't think.
Mhm.
So
You
it's
know
like,
what? Oh, sorry. You can finish.
I was just gonna say, it's not like he's bringing in an insane amount of money on his own,
Right.
you know.
I feel like this cast, like overall, is very like keeping up with the Joneses. Like
Yes.
very overcompensating. And I feel like this group, since it is like a newer season, like you can tell they watched Housewives before
Mhm.
and they want to come rolling in like they are super, super rich. And
Yep.
not saying that they aren't, obviously, but it's
But
like,
they want us to know that they
no.
are.
Yeah, it's like no questions. This is my big beautiful home. This is our
Yeah.
big beautiful life and the brands all over everything.
Mhm. Yeah, it's
So
really in your face.
it is.
I just like, I know you're not there yet, but like you already know what happens. But it is baffling to me that after she was, indicted on these charges, that everyone was just like, "Oh yeah, come back and film.
Right.
No, no problem." I mean, I'm like, am I in some type of like I didn't realize that she just continued to film the season.
I know. I'm interested to see how it all like transpires right afterwards. Like,
Yeah, it's really wild. And even before all of that though, like it's and I know this is like us as outsiders looking at this, and
mhm.
obviously it's easier for us to see things, but I just could not believe how wrapped around Jen's finger everybody was.
I
Like
know they
she
were
would,
so scared.
yes, and she would do like horrible things, treat them terribly, and then they'd be
Mhm.
like, "It's okay."
Oh, that's
Or
fine.
like
No
she'd get him a
problem.
gift and it was like, "Oh, no problem." Like, are you just hanging on because you'd rather be friends with Jen Shah than be her enemy?
Yeah, right?
You know?
It's gotta be. 'Cause I
Yeah,
don't
it's just
know. How much can you be,
bizarre.
like, screamed at and treated like that by somebody
Right.
and just keep accepting it?
I know. And then with the new season, like I watched the third part of the reunion like
Mhm.
live last night, not really live, but and it was so crazy to me that like they're coming at Monica so hard when
Right, when
like
the Jen Shah
Jen,
is terrible. A terrible
yes.
person.
And I mean, I guess maybe they're like, we were burned before, we don't want to get burned
Right.
again. But I mean, Jen literally committed real crimes,
Right.
stole probably millions of dollars from the
Innocent.
elderly
I
and
know.
and yeah, vulnerable people.
Mhm.
And you're just gonna like, you're gonna get mad at Monica because she had a troll account that had like a few thousand followers.
Right, and it's like, "Oh, because it affected you, you care?"
Yeah.
Instead of like, "Oh, no." I don't know, that is crazy.
And then on Watch What Happens Live last night, Heather was on. I've already said that. I don't know why I just said it again, but um, and she was like, "Oh, well, in the reunion, Andy said, well, Heather, like you did a lot to cover up the black eye thing."
Yeah, so what
And
ended up happening then? Well, because didn't but Jen Shaw's, like, came out of, like, prison saying that she didn't actually give her the black eye, but
yeah, but now Heather is saying that like they had a conversation about it. Like they were both of them were intoxicated. I guess things got heated. And then Heather doesn't remember, allegedly, what happened. And then she just woke up and had the black eye. But she like had this feeling that Jen gave it to her. And then they have like security footage of Jen walking into Heather's room, wherever vacation they were on, and then they had a conversation about like, oh my god, did I give that to you? Heather's like, don't worry about it, I won't say anything. Like
mhm.
she's covering it up. But then Andy says, Heather, you went out on your book tour and claimed that, you're like, I don't know, maybe a producer came into my room
Mm.
at night. So like,
That's a big allegation.
yeah, like claiming that a producer of Bravo assaulted you.
You
Like,
know what? Like, sometimes with Bravo, the way they, like, pick and choose what they make a big or, like, who they fire, who they just keep letting be on the show after, like, stuff like that. Like, I feel like they should have,
problematic.
like, investigated that if she's saying
Yeah.
a producer, and then if she lied about it, I mean, that feels like a really big deal.
Well, you should, I don't know, like you need to watch this because Andy was like, so you don't think that that was egregious, that you accused a producer, that you put a producer at risk, the network at risk,
Mhm.
the show at risk. And she's like, Andy, it was a joke. It
That's not a
doesn't
joke.
matter. Yeah.
No. It's not a
And
joke when you talk about stuff like that because 'cause you're their employee, like, your employees
yeah.
can't just be giving you or your employers can't just be giving you black eyes.
And then she was like, I didn't put that out on social media. But you said it to a group full of people all along your book tour?
Right, your
Like,
fans, getting them all riled up, like
yeah. And I mean, I didn't even know about the Reality Von Tease account until
mm-mm.
this was brought up. And like, that account hasn't been active since
Right,
everything happened with Jen. So it's like, you can't say that that had such a wide audience, that like the nation knew about it. Nobody knew about that until you brought it up on the show, Heather.
right,
Like
right.
she's the one that brought it up on the show. And then I don't know, I just felt like there was a lot of hypocrisy happening.
Mhm.
And I did, Monica got herself in a bad situation, and like she really wasn't doing herself favors by then pulling out a burn book that she made. But
I
it
saw
was
that,
just
her
like,
whipping
it
that
was
out.
cringy. It was cringy. It was,
It's like, "The
but
new Mean Girls movie's coming out, I better
I know,
play
I
off
know,
of that."
I know. But they really didn't give her any chance for forgiveness or reconciliation at all. And Andy was really like trying to get them to like see it from her perspective, but they all had their blinders on, that she
Mhm.
was this horrible person. And we talked about it before, but like it would be a different story if the account was active, she
Right.
came on the show, was getting stories, and then putting them on the account. But
Right.
she wasn't.
Right.
Like,
Or
how
if
are
she
you
had been on
still
the
mad
show,
about this?
right. Or if she's been on the show since season 1 and it was like, "Wait, you've been our friend this whole time."
Right, right. I just, you're right. Like, I mean, there's people like, I mean, Lisa Renna did a lot of horrible things and it took
Right.
them forever. I mean, and they didn't even fire her.
Right.
Like, she quit herself.
Right. Right. Well, and there's been
So,
other, like, selling stories situations too, and they've just
yeah.
brushed those under the rug. I don't know if that's worth firing or not, but it just is interesting what they pick and choose. Like, nope, you're immediately gone, or no, you can like hang around and be terrible, and we'll finish out the season. Like, okay,
Yeah, I know. Or like, oh yeah, you have this legal suit against you. It's fine. Continue filming.
hmm
Like, no one's gonna
or
talk
even
about
with
it.
like right, and like even with Jax. I mean, he was horrible, 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 horrible,
Mhm.
horrible all up until the end. Like, he wasn't really I think he was like, "You can either fire or we'll fire you or you can quit on your own." That's what I think happened.
Yeah.
Even though he would never admit that, but it's like, he was never fired. He was
Right.
terrible to people.
Yeah, for so long.
Yeah. So, it's just I don't know, it's interesting.
Well, they left it kind of open. Andy was like, so they must have had some deal with Variety, because I
Mhm.
saw that it was on People magazine. The story had broke that she wasn't coming back. Actually, it said that she was fired. And then Andy on Watch What Happens Live said, "Oh, Variety just reported that Monica's taking a break from filming." So I wonder if they're leaving that door open for her, if
Right.
they just feel like it would be impossible to film, for people to film with her. But I just
Right.
think it's so crazy. Like, I mean,
Or
I
like
get being mad, but to
right.
me, it just isn't a thing that, like, you should completely hold against her forever. She wasn't the only one that was doing it, you
Right.
know?
Right, and it's like, but like everything Jen Shah was like saying to you guys about like, liking all this stuff, bad stuff on social
Yeah,
media about you, and
that was
that's fine.
or what about all the horrible things that Mary says?
Right,
And
right.
I mean,
That's okay.
yes, she was running a cult.
Yeah,
Fine.
right.
Fine.
And it's like I don't understand other than like if they said they weren't gonna film with her, why would Monica be fired? Like, what did she do that was so bad? Like, is
Nothing.
that fireable? It's like, what?
Yeah, it was just sad. Like, again, she definitely made her bed. She has to lay in it now, and
Right,
she did not do a very good job of just, like, she should have just kind of not played so defensive
right,
and just been like, "Hey, I'm owning up to it." But they also gave her not 1 inch of wiggle room. I mean, at
right.
times they were like laughing at her in like a humiliating way, and she just, like,
Right.
at the end, she just completely shut down. Like, you could see it in her face that she had disconnected from this reunion and was
Mhm,
like somewhere else.
mhm.
And I feel like, not to like get so deep into this, but like, she did have trauma from working with Jen. She does
Right,
have trauma from her childhood with her mom. Like, I
right.
just think that, and I mean, I think everybody probably has one of those friends or acquaintances where like they get themselves into these situations all the
Mhm,
time because it's all they know. And then they
right.
are in fight or flight and they fight all the time. And then they're like,
Mhm,
oh no, like, where are all my friends? What happened? I don't understand.
right.
Like, she's
Mhm,
not a unique case, and
right.
there's housewives that have done so much worse things, and it's just crazy. And you know what Heather said on Watch What Happens Live? She's like, at least Jen Shah was being herself. No, she wasn't. She was lying to you because she was committing fraud the entire time.
Right.
Like, what are you saying, Heather? And you're still defending that woman? It's
I know
crazy.
the way they all will just like die on that Jen Shah hill is like wild. I don't
They're
know if Jen Shah has
afraid.
some stuff on them or what.
Yeah, they're scared.
Crazy.
But anyway, yeah, I don't know how many episodes are in season 2 and where I am with that, but I'm interested to see what season 3 is like cuz I heard that it wasn't a very good season.
Mhm.
So I don't know.
I know. We'll see.
I know. Should we take a quick break?
Sure.
Okay. The temperatures are starting to cool down, and you know what that means. It is cookie making season. So instead of making your own cookie dough or going and buying that prepackaged stuff at the store that we know isn't super healthy, why not try something that is actually made with good for you ingredients? That is where dough comes in. These cookie doughs are ready to make right out of the tub, and you can also eat the cookie dough raw because it is vegan and gluten-free. The best part is that it's enhanced with different vitamins and supplements that can support your immunity or help stabilize your mood. We have tried a few of these different flavors, and we're always eager to try new ones. They are so delicious. We've tried the donuts as well, which are so perfect to put in your lunchbox for work, and we're going to be trying some of the delicious spreads that they have soon. So if any of that sounds good to you, go to Eat Dough. That's dough spelled DEUX.com and use our promo code WATERBOTTLE for 10% off. That's eatdough.com and use promo code WATERBOTTLE. And we're back.
And I was just telling English I'm in a depression now because I finished the second book in A Court of Thorn and Roses, and it's a Court of Mist and Fury, and I'm just depressed now, and I have to wait several months for the third one. Like,
How
man,
many are there?
I think there's 5.
Okay.
And I think one of them might be from another, like a smaller book that's from a different character's perspective. But I
Oh.
might be wrong on that. But it's not the third one. And I'm just like, ugh, just the world is so beautiful, like in my head, and just all of it. But
And now the world is meaningless because
I'm not there. And it was kind of fun. Like, do you ever read like fantasy books?
not like recently, but back when I can't remember if we were like in high school, if it was just after high school, I got really into that City of Bones
Okay.
series, and that was
Mhm.
I felt that same way. I was eating those
I
books
know you're
up.
like in this like insane world with, and the
Mhm.
description is so beautiful. And well, they so these the series of books are about like fairies, which sounds really stupid. But some of the guy fairies have wings. And like these books are like a little bit spicy, but when it was
Oh.
talking about the wings are like a little bit sensitive for the boys, if you catch what I mean. I was literally dying. I'm like, okay, that one. I don't know. That one was making me laugh. Like it cringe. It was a little cringy.
It was too far.
That was too far. Like the rest of it was fine, but that was like kind of LOL. But other than that, oh my gosh, I was just like, oh, that's different. She'd be like, I rubbed his wings and he shuddered. Like, okay. It's also so awkward to like just be walking around work with this whole like spicy scene playing
Yeah.
in my ear, and you're just like, doo 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 doo. Like, I hope no one can hear this coming through my ear.
Oh my god. I know it's almost different too when you read the book, but, like,
Yes.
when you're hearing it, like,
Yeah.
that's a whole different thing.
And then I've heard too that there's like a graphic version of the audiobooks for these books, and they'll have
Yeah.
like actual moaning in it.
Oh my god.
So I don't know. I know I don't know how to get a hold of those, but that's what I've heard. I don't the books like there's some scenes, but they're not like insane amount of it. So, but whatever. Anywho, now I'm sad.
Are they gonna make movies out of that, you
I
think?
thought I heard they were going to, but I don't know how they could with like real people. Like I almost feel like it would have to be some kind of like animation or
Yeah.
something. And it'd have
Uh,
to be I don't know. I have heard something about that though, but I'm sure like the casting won't be I'm sure people have a problem with it and
yeah.
whatever, but I
I
mean it'd
hate
be
that though with books, like, you get so into the story and the world, and then it's over, and you're like, "Oh my god,
I
what
know
do
I'm
I
like
do now?"
I know and it's so sad. You're like you miss them even though they're not real.
I know. Just thinking about, like, kinda supernatural stuff and then putting it into
Mhm.
movie, like, I read all the Twilight books back in the
Mhm.
day, and they were so amazing, and then, like, I watched all the Twilight movies when they
Right.
came out, but, like, I don't think I've ever gone back and watched. But on some commercial, there's a clip of it, and it's, like, of Edward being, like, where he's like flying through the air and he's
Mhm.
like, "Hold on tight, spider monkey." And I'm like, "How this is the cringiest thing I've ever seen in my
So
entire life.
crazy.
Like, how did we think that this was good?" Like, I
Right.
can't. But
And
that's
oh, sorry, you can finish.
it's like the 5th time it's happened to us. But, I mean, at the time, we were just, like, so in love with it because we were so into the books and, like,
Yeah.
it was pretty in line with the books too, and
Mhm.
but now when you see it, you're like, "Good
Ugh,
God." Like,
so cringy.
I
And I
know.
feel like too, like, in your head, when you're picturing it or, like, hearing the words or reading the words, it is so
Mhm.
much different where it's like, you say it the way you wanna say it, and it's
Right.
not cringy, except for
I
the
know.
wings.
Well, that's a whole thing. I've never heard anything like that before.
No, I was like like, I just couldn't take it seriously, but anyway.
That's funny. Well, hopefully you get the next one sooner
Mhm.
than a few
Several months.
months.
The vague
Yeah.
several months.
Wah, wah, wah.
No.
Aw.
Anywho,
Well, let's get into Beverly Hills.
pretty
So
boring, honestly.
it honestly was. Like, I barely wrote anything down because
Okay.
it was
I
not
don't
a great
okay,
episode.
so Anne Marie, is she Annie Marie? Because I swear Garcelle was saying I feel like Garcelle and Crystal maybe I don't know, Garcelle and somebody were saying Anna Marie.
I know.
So then I was like, well, maybe they're saying Annie Marie, but it's kind of coming out like that. But then when it shows her name, it looks like Anne Marie.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how to say her name because I've heard him say
No.
it both ways on the show.
Yes.
So I have no idea. I thought
I
that
know.
exact same thing. Well, we said last week because I don't know. I mean, we said it before that we're like an episode behind, but we talked about last week how it was so horrible to think that Anne Marie flopped so hard with the esophagus gate the first time, and then we know it gets brought up multiple other times.
Hmm.
So this is the third episode now that we are stretching this. No pun
And
intended.
this is literally the only thing that is like her storyline.
I
And she's
know.
barely been in the season.
Yeah, I don't know how she's a main cast member.
No,
Like
that's crazy. Is she
and
gonna like really take over the last couple episodes or what?
I don't know. I mean, she just cannot let it go. Like, it's crazy to me. But I did want to say, because I thought about this before and then I never said anything. I don't know why. But I have a coworker who actually, I don't know if it's the exact same thing as Sutton, but she actually did go and get her esophagus stretched, and she has to
Mhm.
go, like, I don't know how often, but in the span when I worked with her, like, more directly, it was just once within the year. But
Mhm.
she was telling me about it. She's like, "Yeah, I just have, like, a really narrow esophagus, and sometimes, like, food will get stuck, and so that I just go and they do a procedure where they stretch it out. And then, like, my throat hurts for a couple days, and like I'm not supposed to talk so much, but then, it's okay." And I think she said that somebody else in her family had it too. So
Mhm.
then that even, like, was totally lining up with what Sutton was saying.
Mhm.
But for some reason, Anne Marie is saying that this problem does not exist, which I
And,
find
like,
bizarre.
well, and what's weird too, it's like if Sutton says, "I have a small esophagus," it's like, why? Okay, like, I'm not gonna question it. Like, if someone like your coworker, like, I'm not gonna question if she's saying that she's got a small esophagus, then that's fine.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like, it doesn't make a difference. And Sutton's not saying all the time, like, "Oh, I can't eat that because I have a small esophagus. I can't do this
Right.
because I have a small," like, she literally has never brought it up.
No, this is the first time we've ever heard about it was at that dinner party.
Yeah.
And with Anne Marie, I was kind of wondering if she has been watching the Beverly Hills Housewives and just doesn't like Sutton because I
Yeah.
cannot figure out what the issue is.
I don't know. I mean, I really think that she kind of fell into the trap of, "Oh, I'm a first year housewife. I need to have a good season so I get
Right.
asked back." But she said this is like a terrible season, and I would honestly, like, I'd be surprised if Bravo had her back for next
I know
season with.
because well, I don't know if I saw TikTok or if somebody was saying something. I don't remember, but I guess her husband has allegations against him.
Oh, I did see that, but I didn't look into it.
I didn't look into it either, and that maybe a lot of her stuff was cut,
Mm,
but I don't
that's a good point.
I know, so I don't know how much of that would be the case, but maybe that could be why we're getting this weird esophagus like storyline.
Well,
But then
and
it showed
she
her husband this past episode though, so
yeah,
I
they
don't
did.
know.
She,
Well,
she's been doubling down on social media, and even in an interview I saw her do, and she's like, "Oh," she almost made it seem like the producers were kind of telling her to extend this storyline out so long. But
I'm
I'm,
so
like, tired
sick
of that
of that.
narrative.
I know, me too. It's like, okay, well then say no because I don't
Right.
believe this, or like, no, I'll come up with something else. Anything. It's like why? And it's so dumb, specific or like specifically this situation. It's like, why would you want to have that be your storyline? That's crazy.
I know, and especially it went over so poorly the first time, not even from us watching it. When it was
Right.
happening, it was not going over well.
Right. The
Like, so
housewives
why
are
would it.
not joining in with you.
No. So why wouldn't, after that, why wouldn't you be like, I don't think that was a good place to be. Like, I'm not gonna keep pushing that." Even if the producers did say, like, "Oh, is that something you want to explore? Like, it could be,
Right.
a hot button topic for Sutton." But like
Mhm.
you said, yeah, then just say, "No, I don't want to do that," and don't do it.
Yeah, like, I'm over it at this point.
The
Stop.
producers are not forcing them to do
No.
stuff. But she also, like, was twisting everything, like, with the eating disorder and
Yeah, that's
saying that Crystal said it. And then
they had the receipts.
the other dig at Crystal about, like, "You said you wanted to go to med school. What difference does that make?" Like, I'm so
Right.
confused. Like, are you trying to say that she's, like, jealous of you? Like,
Well,
I'm
yeah,
pretty
and then she
sure.
ended up, like, saying that later. She's like, "So you're just mad because I actually got to go and your husband wouldn't wait for you." I was like,
Like,
"That's not nice."
no,
I
and I'm
don't think
pretty
that's
sure that
it.
Crystal could go if she wanted to
Now, right,
now. Yeah.
literally.
I did think it was funny though when Sutton like confronted Anne Marie initially, and she, what was it, just like she was going off, and then Anne Marie was trying to say stuff, and then she goes, "Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am." And then Erica, we hear say like, "Oh, that's trouble." Like saying that over
Yeah.
and over again to a black woman, like, Sutton, are you
Mhm.
so like, what are you doing?
I know.
Erica is the star of this season, in my
I know.
opinion. Like,
And
she's,
it's so I was looking, like, in her pink dress, I was like, "She is so skinny." Like,
oh
you
my
know what's
God.
weird, though, is I never thought she was ever big, but now I'm like,
Neither.
"Wow, she's skinny."
I
Like,
know. I'm like, did she, like, how much did she weigh before? Like,
I don't know, like, it was, like, skinny and then there's skinny.
I know. Um, to back up to the towards the beginning where they tried to do another joke about the homeless, not toothless thing. First of all, that was only funny because like no one could legitimately get the name right. And Kathy
Right.
Hilton made it so hilarious because she
I
didn't
know.
mean to keep saying it wrong, but
Right.
she kept doing. I think that's the stupidest name for a charity I've ever heard in my life.
It's so weird. Like, I don't know, if I was homeless, I think I'd rather have the home than the teeth. I don't
I
know.
know. Isn't it? It's such a thing that like uber rich people do. And it's
You
just
know,
like,
like,
oh,
oh,
we can help the homeless. What do they need? I know, a set of veneers.
I know, and it's like, is that like a trope that homeless people don't have teeth? Like, I don't know what about.
Like, yeah, maybe you should be like raising money for housing, like that. Like
Not
you're sleeping on the streets, but you've got a good set of pearly
I
whites
know,
in
like,
there.
that's crazy thinking.
I
Like,
know.
helping people, it would be better if they were it wasn't that, and it was, like, just people who can't afford, like, lower income people who
Yes.
can't afford to get dental work done, like, that would be, like, a better marketing, I think, than the
Because it's such a absolutely ridiculous concept that
I
homeless
know.
people care that they
Like,
might not have the greatest teeth. Not to
right.
say that, like, of course, if all your teeth are falling out, that's going to be debilitating, but
Right,
they probably have larger fish to fry than
right,
that, you
like,
know?
that's what I would think, but I don't know.
I don't know either. All the stuff with Crystal and her brother was boring, in my opinion. Like, he's a grown man, let him make his own
You know, I
choices.
was like, it'd be one thing if he was, like, 17 about to turn 18 and he's going off to, like, college
Hmm.
or, like, I don't know, something, and they're, like, having this, "You just have to trust that he raised me right," but I'm like, "Isn't he, like, 40?"
Yeah.
That was
Like,
crazy.
it's so weird. And I get culturally things might
Right,
be different, but it's just like, come on.
right,
Like, let the man go.
right.
I thought that the conversation between Kyle and Mauricio in the car on the way to the event where she like didn't tell him that they were going to Spain, and
Mhm.
she's like, "Well, I don't always know where he is." Like, don't you have some type of like assistant that can manage your calendars so
Right.
that you know where each other is all the time?
Or, like, are you guys doing that to each other on purpose?
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Mhm, like, "Well, I don't have to tell you where I'm going because we only have 1 kid or whatever that's living in the house." And then I'm
Yeah.
like, "So if mom's gone, dad's gone, who's taking care of the
Yeah, what's
daughter?"
Portia doing?
Yeah, it's like it just seemed weird where it was like, well, I feel like you should have to at least communicate that you're leaving and that the child needs taken care of.
Right. Like, that
It
was weird.
was weird.
And then we go through the party, blah, blah, blah. We already basically said all that, the fight. Oh, the huge question mark for me was at the event and they introduced Dorit as fashion designer. I was like, did I miss something? Like, since when is Dorit a fashion designer?
I know. I,
Like,
she's running ahead.
why would they introduce her as that out of all the other things?
Literally, that was
I
weird. Well, you can't introduce her as a Real Housewife
I
without
know that's
celebrity,
true.
so I guess you have to
Even
do.
even though all her housewife friends are in the first table right in the front, like,
I was super into PK, like, coming in when they were, like, getting the party ready and was like, we're not using that
oh, I
tablecloth.
know.
We're not using that." I was like, "Nice."
I know, make and then, when she's like, "Oh, what do you think about the centerpieces?" And he's like, "It feels very daytime. It feels very day it's too daytime, darling."
I was loving that scene. I feel like that's and Dorit was just like, oh,
And she's like, "This is why I like
like, she was just
PK with
loving
you."
it. Like, I thought that was a
Yeah,
really cute, like, dynamic between the 2.
I agree. It was cute. And then basically after that, they go and, they huddle together and they're like, how can we all get
The
along
typical
to go to
scripted thing
Barcelona?" Yeah.
where they're sitting at a table, "Hey, guys, we are already packed and have our flights booked, but we
Yeah.
should go to Barcelona."
I know. It was funny. And then Anne Marie does a FaceTime to Sutton to give a half baked apology.
I apologize
Like,
for my part.
like your part was the only part.
Literally.
So yeah, and then I thought it was crazy. And did you see the preview for this week's episode?
Yes, but the kids were kinda, like, messing around, so I was kinda missing it.
It seems like Anne Marie goes in on Crystal an awful lot.
Mhm.
So it's like, oh, she realized that she couldn't continue to do that with Sutton. So now she's channeling all of her energy on somebody else for no reason at
Mhm.
all.
Literally.
I
Mm.
wonder if Crystal's going to come back. I mean, like, I don't think that she's added much to the season, but also I just don't know if she enjoys it enough to
I
want to do
know.
another season.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, I don't really think she's, like, enjoying maybe there would have been, like, a different if the cast was different, she would have enjoyed it, but I don't think she seems like she is at all.
I think if Heather Dubrow was in
Mhm.
the Beverly Hills cast, then they would, we'd have all their scenes together and that would be her
Yes.
ally kind of.
Mhm.
But yeah, these women don't seem like her cup of tea.
No. Not at all.
So I think we talked about it before, but I think Crystal probably won't come back on her own accord. And I hope they don't bring Anne Marie back
You
because
know?
she just. So, how many more episodes do we have left? Do you know?
I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't even know what episode we're on.
Me either.
And I feel like with, like well, I guess I don't know. It's like that and Miami Housewives is what's going on now, and then Salt
Mhm.
Lake. So it's like I feel like we're about to start some other people like Jersey should be coming back. So I feel like Vanderpump. I don't know. I don't know how much we have left. Hopefully
I
not much.
know. I know. How do they
Backless.
usually have like 16-ish?
Mm-hmm. And the
So
reunion.
yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, they haven't filled the reunion yet, but I wonder like how that's even gonna go. Like this
Yeah, what are
season
they gonna talk
overall, yeah, it hasn't been a super eventful season. Like I'm enjoying it, but
right.
it hasn't been like anything earth shattering or even
No.
like I would have to go back in my notes to really remember some of the stuff. Like the main thing has been Miles'
Right.
lifestyle change and her marriage.
And even all of that's been super vague.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, why aren't they letting us see a little bit more with Erica, with her
I know she's
prep?
kind of like
Oh, but she got her own show, didn't she?
yeah.
That
So
special or whatever, so maybe they're
mhm,
saving it.
that could be. Mm.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of another filler episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but there was conflict, but I didn't care about it because it's already happened so many
I
times.
know, so long. And I thought they ended it and then it was right back going again. It's like boring.
I know. Is this going to be the end of the esophagus talk, or are we going to have to listen to it again when they go on this trip?
Right?
It's just crazy. Well, that's pretty much all that I have.
Yep.
All right. So we'll do our recommendations that are going to be the same ones as last week since you guys didn't hear them.
Well, mine was to use a satin bonnet to help protect your hair because in 2024 I want Brooke Schofield hair. So it's on my Pinterest vision board. I have her hair on it.
Have you noticed a difference?
I have this morning, though, because I have to wear a hairnet at work in the lab. And I took a shower this morning, washed my hair, and then I just like braided it. So I haven't. Don't judge it on this, but yeah, I really did. Like I felt like it preserved my style a lot more too. Like,
oh, nice.
because it was before I washed it, like curled, and then it was stay curled because it wasn't getting all roughed up and stuff.
Yeah,
But I think it was. I'm curious since my hair is like a little bit frizzy from being in the hairnet, how it'll do tonight when I put it in there.
Did you just get it on Amazon or something?
I did. Yeah, I just got like a cheap one to see if I would like it.
You have to send me the link so I can give it to.
Oh,
We don't have a promo code for it, but
but it's kind of funny too when my son will come in the bed with us. But like literally the way he'll like throw his like head onto my pillow, just rip it right off. I'm like, ugh. And then I have to pull it back on. It's so annoying. I'm like, seriously? But anyway.
that's funny. My recommendation was the book Killers of the Flower Moon because I had watched the movie and then my grandpa, he actually read the book like before. I don't even know if he knew it was a movie. So he had it and I still have not started to read it yet, but I will. But I guess there's a lot more. Obviously, there's always more in the book than there is in the movie, but just more like historical details and stuff. And I'm just in shock that like that's based on real events. Like that just blows my mind how horrible we were as Americans to the native people. Like I just can't get over it. But yeah, so I would recommend the book and then, I mean see the movie too, but the book specifically.
I'm still on the wait list for the audiobook. So
I wonder, yeah, it would be kind of cool, which it wouldn't make any sense at all, but because it's not a script, but if like Leo and Lily Gladstone like narrated it.
Well, some of those books will have like random celebrity narrators, so it's like, why not? Maybe there could be like a new version where they.
Yeah, they could just split up each chapter,
Mm-hmm. I do also want to say that Native American authors, there's like a couple of them that I've listened to their audiobooks, and the ones that I've listened to are more like horror books. They do a really good job. Like it's really interesting to see how they take like their lore and stuff and make it into like a horror book. And I've really enjoyed some of them that I've listened to. So
that is cool. I mean, they are a storytelling culture.
I know, and they've got
so they're so good at that.
Mm-hmm. Like there was a really good one. I can't remember what it's called.
I hate it when I do that.
Yeah, look it up. But it was basically like they're like in a reserve, a reservation. Sorry, they're in a reservation, and they basically the world there's kind of like an apocalyptic thing happening outside of it, and it gets
Oh,
like brought into the reservation, and like they're not getting their supplies for their store and all this, so they're like going through and divvying it up, and then these like white men come, like a couple of them, and like kind of take charge and stuff, and it's like just the worst case scenario, and the way
whoa.
they like respect the dead and stuff because people are like starting to pass away. It was a
Yeah.
really good. Hold on. Give me one.
So, is it like a short story or is it a
No, it
whole
was a
book?
decent. Yeah, it was a whole book.
I read a book and I can't remember what it's called. I'd have to pull up
Oh,
my.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead and say it.
Moon of the Crusted Snow, and it looks like the audiobook was 7 hours, so it's like a
Oh,
decent.
yeah, that's a full book. Um, I can't remember what this is called either. I'd have to look it up on my actual like physical library account because I didn't get an audiobook. I
Hmm.
read it a few years ago, but it was also about like Native American culture and like people that had moved away from the reservation versus people that had stayed, and like a lot of times reservations, um, they don't actually they're not really like a great foster for like
Hmm.
positive mental health, and it can be kind
Hmm.
of like a dark place sometimes just because of how like Americans kind of made reservations be.
Right.
But it goes into like drinking culture with them too, and just how like some of the people were just felt like trapped in there, and then this guy was seeing like hallucinations. Like it was really really good. If I can get the name of it, I'll put it into along with yours as like bonus
Mhm.
recommendations. But yeah, like this, they're so good at telling such descriptive stories that
I
it
know,
really gets
so
you
good.
into it.
I know there's another one too that's been really popular on TikTok. It's called Only Good Indians, and that one was scary. Like when I was listening to it, I'd be like looking back behind my shoulder, like getting so spooked out. But anyway,
That's a good one
good,
then.
good, great authors,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
on that note, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to follow us on everything. If you haven't given us a rating on every platform where you follow us, please do 5 stars. Unfortunately, we have garnered a additional 1 star rating on Apple Podcasts. I'm not sure what we're doing wrong because no one gave any actual feedback. So if you're listening and you were the one that gave the 1 star, could you please just let us know what you didn't like about us?
Yes.
Um, Thank you for that. Um, but yeah, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.